Do you have real shungite in your collection? My name is Sheila from Satin Crystals, and today we are uncovering shungite to see if you have real or fakes in your collection, or if you want to buy shungite, we want to make sure that you can shop with confidence. I'm going to give you some tips on how to tell real versus fake shungite, and we're also going to determine how to tell other black stones apart from shungite, which you might be confused with. First of all, what is shungite? Shungite is a grayish black, sometimes metallic silver mineral that is full of carbon content. And this carbon is going to help us determine if you have the real thing or not. Most shungite comes from one region in Russia. And I say most because there are a few other places, but the most popular, the best quality is from Russia. So I discussed this in the shungite meanings video. So if you want to know more in depth about shungite, head over to the Satin Crystals shungite meaning video and article, and you will know more about this stone. But for this video, we are concentrating on real versus fake shungite. To determine if you have real shungite in your collection, make sure that you're buying from a reputable seller so that they can inform you and educate you about your stone. Now, if you already have some shungite in the collection, or you're out shopping for some and you don't know what to look out for, I'm going to give you some tips here. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel so that I know you like this kind of content. So shungite is a stone that is a 3.5 to a 4 on the Mohs scale of hardness. So what does that mean? The Mohs scale of hardness determines how hard a stone is. It goes from 1, which is very powdery, to 10, which is hard as a diamond. So 3.5 to 4 for shungite is relatively soft. It's a softer stone. So it is brittle, it can scratch easily, and determining on what type of shungite you have, the really high carbon content shungite, the elite shungite, is much crumblier than the shungite that has less carbon. So you'll be able to even just use a little bit of pressure and it'll crumble in your fingers. So this is a good indication. If you do have some kind of hard material, hard stone, it probably is not shungite unless the shungite has been stabilized with resin or some other material. Real shungite is a relatively soft stone. Shungite has a stable color. So if you do place it in acetone, the color will not leak out into the acetone. It'll remain nice and black. Now, the raw stuff may be crumbly and the powder could kind of disintegrate, but the color will not fade. Fakes may fade, the color may come off, and it might reveal what you actually have underneath. Real shungite will have a black streak. So it'll match its outward appearance. When you streak it against a white unglazed tile, it'll always have that black powder. Now, other stones that may be black may have a different color streak when you do the crystal streak test, but shungite will always have a black streak. Real shungite is usually an amorphous shape, meaning it doesn't really have any crystal structure. So you can see both of these stones here. This real shungite is just kind of a blob, a lump. This tetrahedrite has crystal shapes, little triangular points. You will not find this in real shungite, this kind of structure. Once in a rare while, you might see a little bit of structure in some shungite, but it won't be as defined as this tetrahedrite. So this is a good way to tell if you have real or fake shungite. Real shungite will stain black. Because of that carbon content, especially if you have raw shungite, it will stain your fingers, your fabric, some paper, whatever you have, a black color. It can wash off easily, but it is a good indication that you do have real shungite. Once it's polished, depending on what kind of polishing method they do, it may not stain, so it's not a doesn't mean that it's not real. It's just that the way that they have polished it, it won't come off on your skin. So real shungite, staining just like newspaper does. Real shungite is not as dense as other stones, so it's relatively lightweight. Here we have 2 cubes of the same size, but the shungite is around a 3 ounce, and this hematite cube is around 5 ounces. So you can tell the weight difference between real shungite and other materials. Real shungite is always black. It might have a silvery metallic black tone, but it's always going to be a black color. So if anybody's selling you other shades of shungite, that is a fake. Real shungite will have inclusions, real organic inclusions, which are usually pyrite, golden pyrite, or sometimes some quartz or some dolomite, but you'll always see some kind of patterns within the black. Usually it won't just be solid black if it is real shungite. So watch out for that, because some of the fakes will not have inclusions. One of the most interesting ways to check if you have real shungite or not is to check its electrical conductivity. Shungite is one of the rare gemstones that actually conducts electricity. So it's an easy way to tell if you have a real or a fake. Now there's different methods on doing this. You could use a battery and a light bulb, you can use a flashlight, and you can find these methods online as well. But we've found that the multimeter method has been the most effective. You may already have a multimeter just lying around. I had one in the garage because we use it to check if the outlets are having an electric charge if we're doing electric work. So using this electric multimeter, I'm going to show you on ours. Ours is a manual one. You could also buy a digital one. You just need to set it to ohm, and then you're going to use the 2 prongs to test your stones. So if you can see, let me zoom in so you might be able to see a little bit better. So now that we have zoomed in, I hope that you can see the meter reading. That is that top green line that we're looking at, and that is reading the ohm measurement. And to test that it's working out, we're going to touch the 2 metal prongs together, and you'll see that it goes to 0. That is what we want for our shungite, to see that it does have that electrical conductivity. Now, best to have a clean, flat surface like this pendant here. So this pendant is showing that it is shungite. And there we go. You want to hold the prongs firmly, but never touch the metal parts. And don't touch the metal parts together when you're doing the testing either, otherwise that'll show you a false reading. So that is a shungite. This heart here is real shungite. The cube is a shungite. I do want to show you the elite shungite, which is a metallic silver, and this has a very high carbon content, so it'll go quickly to 0. Unfortunately, this piece is a little bit jagged, so it's hard to find the flat surfaces, but as you can see, it does go to 0. However, here we have a metallic piece that people get confused with because it is hematite. So when I touch the prongs to hematite, the meter will not move. Hematite does have a small conductivity, but not enough to read on the meter. But as I said, you can tell it apart by the density. It's much heavier. These 3 tumbled stones were sold to us as elite shungite. But when they came, they looked a little bit too perfect. They are on the lighter weight side, so they could be another stone or another material that is just coated with the metal, or they could be a shungite that has been coated as well. Because when I find a flat surface, it does move a little bit, but it's not the best of reading. So I'm not exactly sure what these are, except that they're going back to the vendor. This one here is also a very lightweight stone that people get confused with shungite because it is actually a jet. Jet stone has no conductivity. It is an insulator. And I do wonder if maybe these tumbles are jet stones coated with some kind of metal, because other metals will also conduct electricity, like silver and copper and gold will show up on the multimeter. So make sure you know what you are reading. And here we have a heart in obsidian. Obsidian is one that people get confused with shungite as well. It's a little bit glassier, it is shinier usually, it is a volcanic glass. It will also not read on the multimeter. So those are a few of the pieces that are real, among ones that you may get confused with, among ones that you may not even know what they are. If the multimeter is not giving you a great answer, make sure to combine all the other tests that I have shown you. You can also go to the fake versus real shungite article, and it will give you even more tips on how to determine what you have in your collection. Because of its electrical conductivity, real shungite is able to scroll your mobile phone. So make sure that it's able to do this. Some other stones that have electrical conductivity will be able to do this as well, like the hematite, but fake material or other gemstones would not be able to do this. Those are some tips on how to tell if your shungite is real or not. If you are still unsure, you can send it in to a certified gemological laboratory, and they will do the scientific tests for you, and they will give you the conclusion, the results. If you are looking for real shungite, you want to shop with confidence, head over to Satin Crystals. We have shungite stones and jewelry for your collection. Thank you, as usual, for liking this video, subscribing to our channel, and spreading your positive energy at Satin Crystals.